What's up with Thailand? Hey, Reg here, and welcome to another episode of Food for Thought.
This is a world premiere. This is a world premiere.
I done been through a whole lot, trial, tribulation, but I know God.
So Brett Rawlings recently posted a video about moving to Thailand, and there were some responses, some reactions saying, people will hate you in Thailand, and other reasons why he maybe shouldn't move to Thailand, but what strikes me, one, is that anyone feels that they're in a position to speak for the nearly 70 million people living in Thailand right now. I can't quite understand why anybody feels like they are in the position to speak for 70 million people. So that's one. The other thing is, what might be some of the issues that people have seeing someone like Brett, who to me, kind of reads as a, white male. He kind of reads as heterosexual white male. I don't know a lot about Brett's personal life, or definitely about his sexual preferences, but as someone who reads in this very privileged way, imagining him moving to Thailand, where he could be seen, there's kind of a colonialist sense to doing that. I'm going to go and be this, white person surrounded by brown people who are going to cater to my needs, right? That's not necessarily what Brett is talking about, but I can see where the optics of it might be problematic for some people. Also, just thinking about racism as it might exist within Thai culture, in Asian culture in general, light skin has historically been preferred because it indicates that the person has not had to labor outdoors, right? So you have a space where light skin is preferred, and then you have a white person moving into that space who will, receive preferential treatment basically for doing nothing other than, having white skin. So that's another reason why people might see it as problematic. Not that that's something that Brett has any control over. One might see it as taking advantage of a country where the economy is, for whatever reason, being depressed, to make it possible for wealthier nations to do their business in that space, right, more affordably, right, to make sure that there's a cheap labor pool, for example. And I'm not sure that that's happening in Thailand, but I imagine that there is some exploitation of the wealthier surrounding countries happening in places like Thailand, creating an economy where someone from a European or someone from a wealthier nation can move there and live very comfortably on what seems like a little bit of money. And then I think the final part where people might find it problematic is that there's a huge, the tourist industry is huge in Thailand, and that it's a country that depends very much on its tourist industry, and it's a country where the sex trade is about 14% of the national economy. Now that's huge, and so if somebody tells me that they're going to visit a country where the sex trade is one of the larger industries, I'm going to wonder, is that person going because they want to take advantage of this thriving sex industry? And so these are things that might jump to mind when we think about Thailand and when we think about people moving to Thailand. I think we should be careful not to make assumptions about people regardless of the fact that, you know, sex trade and, you know, these racism and the depression of the economy, we have to look at people as individuals and think about what their individual motivations might be before we jump to conclusions about whether or not it's a good thing for them to move to another country. And then, you know, also to not make assumptions about people in Thailand to have self-agency and make decisions about, you know, how they want to relate to people who may be coming into their space. So it's not for me to defend Thailand from Brett Rawlings on any level. This is Reg signing off. Have a great one. Love yourself. Peace.